My child, there are moments in life when someone suddenly sees the truth that was always standing in front of them. But by the time they finally understand it, everything has already changed. Your soulmate may now be living in that exact moment. There was a time when your presence in their life felt natural, almost ordinary to them. You were there through conversations, through emotional highs and lows, through the quiet days that didn't seem extraordinary, but slowly built something meaningful between two hearts. You listened when they spoke about their worries, you supported them when they struggled, and you believed in them even when they doubted themselves. But sometimes, when someone receives that kind of love consistently, they stop seeing how rare it truly is. Instead of recognizing the value of the person who stands beside them, they begin assuming that this support will always remain available, and that assumption can lead people to make decisions they later regret. Your soulmate may have stepped away from the connection you shared, believing that something else in life might offer more excitement, more freedom, or more clarity about what they wanted. Maybe they were distracted by someone new, someone who seemed interesting simply because they were different. Or maybe they convinced themselves that walking away would give them the space they needed to understand their feelings better. At the time, that decision may have seemed logical to them. New experiences often carry a spark that makes everything feel fresh and exciting. When people meet someone new or begin exploring a different path, the thrill of novelty can make them believe they are moving towards something better. But here is the hook you must understand. Novelty fades quickly when it is not supported by genuine emotional connection. As time passed, your soulmate may have begun noticing something they did not expect. The excitement that once surrounded their new choices may have slowly settled into something ordinary. Conversations with other people may have felt pleasant, but not deeply meaningful. They may have realized that the emotional comfort they once experienced with you was not something they could easily find again. This realization rarely appears suddenly. It often begins with small moments that trigger memories. Perhaps they heard a song that reminded them of a time you both shared together. Perhaps they visited a place that carried a memory of a conversation you once had there. Or perhaps they experienced a moment when they wished they could talk to someone who understood them the way you did. Each of these moments may have brought a quiet wave of reflection, because memories have a way of revealing truths that people could not see while they were still living inside the relationship. When you were part of their everyday life, your kindness and loyalty may have felt normal to them. They may not have realized how rare it is to have someone who genuinely listens, who cares deeply, and who supports another person's growth without expecting constant validation in return. But once you were gone, the absence of that presence may have become impossible to ignore. Your soulmate may now be remembering the way you supported them when they faced difficult choices. They may recall the way you encouraged them when they felt uncertain about their future. They may think about the simple comfort of knowing that someone genuinely wanted to see them happy. These memories can be powerful because they show a person what they once had, but failed to appreciate fully. And slowly, the realization may begin forming inside them. The connection they walked away from was not something ordinary. It was something meaningful that could have grown into something lasting if they had chosen to nurture it instead of leaving it behind. Here is another hook in this story. Realization often arrives after the moment when it could have made a difference. Your soulmate may now clearly see the value you brought into their life. They may understand that the bond you shared had the potential to become something stable and deeply fulfilling. But time does not stand still while someone is learning a lesson. While they were exploring other paths, your life was moving forward as well. When they first walked away, the pain you felt may have been overwhelming. Losing someone you believed was your soulmate can shake the way you see relationships and trust. You may have spent long nights wondering why they did not see your value when it was right in front of them. You may have questioned whether you were somehow not enough to make them stay. Those questions can feel painful, but they often lead to important discoveries. Over time, you may have started seeing the situation from a different perspective. Instead of focusing on why they left, you may have begun focusing on your own growth. You may have realized that someone who truly understands your value does not walk away from the connection without trying to protect it first. That realization can change the way you see yourself. Instead of feeling like someone who was abandoned, you begin recognizing that you are someone who offered genuine love and loyalty. And those qualities are not weaknesses. They are strengths that reflect the depth of your character. As you grew stronger and more confident, your life may have started expanding in new directions. You may have invested your energy into personal goals, friendships, and experiences that helped you rediscover who you are beyond the relationship that once meant so much to you. This transformation can change the way you carry yourself in the world. The person you are today may feel more secure in your own worth and more aware of the kind of love you deserve. And this is where the story becomes complicated for your soulmate. Because the realization of your value may have arrived at the exact moment when you are no longer standing in the same place where they left you. They may now see clearly what they lost. They may understand that your presence offered something genuine, something meaningful, that could have grown into a lasting partnership. But they may also realize that the person they walked away from has continued evolving and growing without them. This awareness can create a deep sense of regret. They may wonder what would happen if they reached out to you now. They may imagine the possibility of reconnecting and rebuilding the bond that once existed between you. But they may also fear that too much time has passed, that your life has already moved forward in ways that no longer include them. Because sometimes people learn the value of someone only after they lose them. And by the time they finally understand how important that person was, the moment when they could have shown that understanding may already belong to the past. My child, when someone finally begins to recognize the value of a person they once had in their life, the realization rarely arrives in a single moment. Instead, it unfolds slowly, almost quietly, as if the heart is waking up from a long sleep. Your soulmate may now be going through that awakening. At first, after they stepped away from you, they may have believed they had made the right decision. They might have told themselves that distance would give them clarity, that walking away would help them understand what they truly wanted, or that new experiences would bring them a kind of happiness they felt uncertain about before. When people leave a meaningful connection, they often justify their choice by focusing on the excitement of what lies ahead rather than the depth of what they are leaving behind. In the beginning, those new experiences may have felt exciting. Meeting different people, having new conversations, exploring different possibilities can create a sense of freedom that makes the past feel distant. But excitement built on novelty rarely lasts forever. Eventually, the new becomes familiar, and the energy that once felt thrilling begins to settle into routine. This is usually the moment when the mind begins to look backward. Your soulmate may now be noticing something they did not expect when they first walked away. They may find that the emotional comfort they once felt with you is not something they easily find again. Conversations with other people might feel pleasant, but they may not carry the same depth of understanding. They may realize that while others can offer companionship, very few people can offer the kind of emotional connection that grows when two hearts truly see each other. And slowly, almost unexpectedly, Memories of you may begin returning more often than before. Perhaps they hear a song that reminds them of a moment you once shared together. Perhaps they pass by a place that brings back a memory of a conversation you had there. Or perhaps they simply experience a moment when they wish they could talk to someone who would understand them without needing long explanations. Each of these moments can trigger a quiet wave of reflection because memories have a way of revealing truths that were hidden when the relationship was still active. When you were present in their life every day, your patience, loyalty, and kindness may have seemed ordinary to them. They may have believed that the way you cared for them was something that would always remain there. But once that presence disappears, the absence becomes impossible to ignore. Your soulmate may now be remembering the way you supported them during times when they felt uncertain about themselves. They may recall how you encouraged them to believe in their potential when they doubted their own abilities. They may think about the simple comfort of knowing that someone genuinely wanted to see them succeed and be happy. These memories can feel powerful because they reveal a truth that was not fully understood before. You were someone who offered them something rare. Here is the hook you must understand. People often realize the true value of someone only after they experience life without the emotional support that person once provided. Your soulmate may now see clearly that the connection you shared was built on something deeper than excitement or attraction. It was built on trust, understanding, and the kind of emotional honesty that allows two people to feel safe being themselves. But this realization can also bring a painful truth with it. Understanding someone's value after losing them does not guarantee that the connection can be restored. Your soulmate may now find themselves wondering what your life looks like today and how much it has changed since the moment they left. They may think about reaching out to you, about telling you that they finally understand how important you were to them. But they may also hesitate because they know that time has not only changed their perspective, it has changed you as well. When they first walked away, the pain you experienced may have been overwhelming. Losing someone you believed was your soulmate can create deep questions about love, trust, and your own worth. You may have spent many nights wondering why they did not see your value when it was right in front of them. You may have questioned whether you could have done something differently to make them stay. But pain often leads to reflection, and reflection often leads to growth. Over time, you may have begun focusing on your own healing instead of waiting for them to return. You may have discovered strength you did not know you possessed. Instead of defining yourself through the relationship that ended, you may have started building a life that reflects your own values, dreams, and goals. You may have invested your energy into friendships, personal passions, and experiences that helped you rediscover who you are beyond the connection you once shared with them. This transformation can change the way you see both yourself and the past. The person you are today may feel stronger, more confident, and more aware of your own worth than the person who experienced that heartbreak. And this is where the realization of your soulmate becomes even more complicated. Because if they look at your life now, they may see someone who has grown beyond the place where they left you. They may see someone who no longer waits for their validation or recognition. They may see someone who understands that their value does not depend on whether another person appreciates it in time. And that realization can deepen their regret even further. Because they may now understand that the person they once took for granted was someone who could have been an incredible partner if they had simply chosen to stay and nurture the connection you shared. Your soulmate may now find themselves reflecting on the choices they made when they walked away. They may ask themselves why they did not recognize the depth of the bond you shared while it was still present in their life. They may wonder what their life would look like today if they had chosen to appreciate your presence instead of assuming it would always remain there. These questions often appear when someone realizes that their decisions created consequences they cannot easily change. But even with this realization, they may still feel uncertain about whether the past can be revisited. Because while they were learning what life feels like without you, you were learning how to move forward without them. Your soulmate may now be standing at a point where they finally understand your value, but they also recognize that the opportunity to express that understanding may have come later than they expected. And that is one of the most difficult lessons a person can learn. Sometimes clarity arrives only after the moment when it could have changed everything. My child, when a person finally reaches the stage where they truly understand the value of someone they once had, the realization often becomes deeper with time rather than fading away. Your soulmate may now be living in that stage, where the truth they once overlooked is slowly becoming impossible to ignore. At first, when they walked away from the connection you shared, they may have believed that life would simply move forward without much change. They might have told themselves that the world was full of new possibilities, new people and new experiences that could easily replace what they left behind. Many people think this when they leave something meaningful. They assume that whatever they had will either fade naturally from memory or remain available if they ever decide to return. But real emotional connections do not disappear that easily. When two people share genuine understanding and emotional intimacy, the bond they create leaves a lasting imprint on both of them. Your soulmate may now be noticing that imprint more clearly than ever before, as the excitement of the choices they made after leaving you began to settle into ordinary routine. Their mind may have started revisiting the past in ways they did not expect. At first, these memories may have appeared quietly. Perhaps they thought about a conversation you once had late at night, when both of you spoke honestly about your dreams or your fears. Perhaps they remembered the way you encouraged them when they doubted themselves. Or perhaps they simply recalled the comfort of knowing that someone in their life genuinely cared about their happiness. These memories can become powerful because they reveal something the present may not offer. The emotional safety they once felt with you may be difficult to recreate with someone new. Other people may offer kindness or companionship, but the depth of understanding that grows between two people over time is not something that appears instantly. Your soulmate may now realize that the bond they shared with you was built slowly through trust, patience, and shared experiences. And that kind of connection cannot simply be replaced by meeting someone else. Here is the hook you must understand. When people finally recognize the value of someone they once had, they often begin comparing every new experience with the memories of that connection. Your soulmate may now be noticing that certain conversations with others feel shallow compared to the ones they once had with you. They may feel that while other people can listen, very few truly understand them in the way you did. They may even find themselves wishing they could share certain moments with you because they know you would appreciate them or respond in a way that felt genuine. These realizations can create a mixture of emotions inside them. Part of them may feel grateful for the time they shared with you, recognizing that those moments shaped who they are today. But another part of them may feel regret that they did not appreciate the connection fully while it was still part of their life. Your soulmate may now begin asking themselves difficult questions about the choices they made. Why did I walk away from someone who truly cared about me? Why did I assume that the connection we had would always remain available if I ever decided to return? Why did I not see the value of that bond until it was already gone? These questions often appear when someone begins to understand the consequences of their actions. But understanding those consequences does not mean they can easily change them. Because while your soulmate was learning what life feels like without you, your life was moving forward as well. when they first left. The pain you experienced may have been intense. Losing someone you believed was your soulmate can create a deep sense of confusion and heartbreak. You may have wondered why they did not see your value when it was standing right in front of them. You may have questioned whether something about you was not enough to make them stay. But pain often leads to reflection, and reflection often leads to transformation. Over time, you may have begun focusing on your own healing and personal growth. Instead of waiting for someone who walked away, you may have started rebuilding your life around your own goals and happiness. You may have strengthened your friendships, explored new passions, and rediscovered parts of yourself that were hidden while your attention was invested in the relationship. This process of growth can change the way you see both yourself and the past. The person you are today may feel more confident and independent than the person who once waited for your soulmate to recognize your value. And this transformation can make the situation even more complicated for them. Because if they observe your life now, they may realize that you have become someone who no longer depends on their presence for happiness or validation. They may see that you have moved forward in ways that reflect strength and self-respect, and that realization can deepen their regret even further. Your soulmate may now understand that the connection they left behind was not something ordinary. It was something meaningful that had the potential to grow into something stable and lasting if they had chosen to nurture it instead of leaving it behind. But they may also recognize that the opportunity to build that future may no longer exist in the same way it once did. Because while they were discovering what life feels like without you, you were discovering what life feels like when you choose yourself. This is often the moment when someone realizes that the person they once took for granted was someone who could have been a truly remarkable partner. They may see that your patience, loyalty, and emotional depth were qualities that many people search for, but rarely find. And losing that kind of connection can create a lasting sense of regret. Your soulmate may now find themselves thinking about you more often than they expected. They may wonder what your life looks like today, whether you still remember the moments you once shared, and whether the connection you had could ever be rebuilt if they found the courage to speak honestly about their feelings. But they may also feel uncertain about whether reaching out would be welcomed or rejected, because they know that time has changed both of you, and that uncertainty can keep their realization hidden inside their heart for a long time. Yet even if they remain silent, the understanding they have gained may stay with them permanently. Because sometimes the greatest lesson a person learns is recognizing the value of someone only after they lose them. And once that realization appears, it cannot easily be forgotten.